Lola Korneevets on animal rights activist. Lola Korneevets said, "Animal rights activists are those who fight for animal rights for those who are afraid of being mistreated, exploited, or exterminated. Activists are working to ensure that animals are properly cared for, treated, and respected, and to raise public awareness of animal exploitation and abuse." Animal rights activists are individuals who volunteer for organizations or are paid employees of organizations. Animal rights activists do not believe that animals should be used for work, nor do they believe that breeding or displaying animals in zoos or nature reserves is a form of exploitation. They also do not believe that animals of any kind should ever be used in research, at sporting events, in entertainment facilities, or for food. Animal rights activists often push for legislative action to advance their agenda, and in some cases, such action can have drastic consequences not only for livestock farming but also for animal welfare. Lola added, "The animal rights movement is a new ideology that embraces the philosophy that animals have rights and are human rights. Animal welfare reflects the belief that animals should be treated humanely and live pain-free lives, but animal rights activists do not believe that animals are equal to human rights. A basic principle of the modern animal rights movement is that many non-human animals have fundamental interests that deserve recognition, consideration, and protection. Animal rights activists say these interests should be treated as moral and legal rights." It is said that the modern movement for animal rights was the first social reform movement initiated by philosophers. The Australian philosopher Peter Singer and the American philosopher Tom Regan merits special mention not only because their work is influential, but also because they represent two of the most important fields of philosophical thought on the moral rights of animals. Moreover, the animal rights movement, also called the animal liberation movement, animal personality movement or animal welfare movement, is a social movement aimed at ending rigid moral and legal distinctions between human and non-human animals, ending the status of animals as property and ending their use in research, food, clothing, and entertainment industries. Animal rights activists believe that the individual interests of non-human animals should give moral rights to all kinds of animals instead of just some of them. 1. See Tom Regan's work for example. Animal liberators also believe that individual interests in non-human animals deserve recognition and protection, but the movement is divided into two broad camps. Regan, Singer, and other philosophical animal rights advocates have met with opposition. There are tens of thousands of animal welfare organizations around the world, but there are few major players. This global animal rights group, founded by Ingrid Newkirk, receives about $30 million a year from U.S. organizations. There is also an American animal rights group that acts as a mouthpiece, the Animal Liberation Front, see below. Their speakers include Walter Bond, now in prison, Jerry Vlasuk, and Nicole Sheen, see individual. A young American activist and spokesman for the North American Animal Liberation Press Office, see organization. An American animal rights group that acts in 10 countries as the mouthpiece of the Animal Liberation Front, see organizations, although its largest base remains in the U.S. These included a 2001 donation of $1,500 to the North American Earth Liberation Front, ELF, a domestic terror group certified FBI for dozens of firebombs and death threats, and $70,200 to Rodney Coronado, a serial arsonist for the Animal Liberation Front, ALF, who was convicted of burning down a Michigan State University research lab. Steele has led several animal rights groups, including the National Anti-Vivisection Alliance, an anti-vivisection coalition he launched in June 2014. Steele joined Animal Aid in early 2017 and has worked for animal rights organization PETA since June 2017.